Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And this is really big theme and big thing collectively and individually. This eclipse is really profound, transformative, healing, mystical, mysterious, otherworldly, psychic, spiritual, highly spiritual, deeply creative, imaginative, inspirational, but it can also be nightmarish, illusionary, deceptive, addictive. It can be self-victimizing and very moody, and we may have a tendency towards escapism and towards spiritual bypassing. Pisces is very complex. It's the last sign in the zodiac. It encompasses and embraces all previous signs, and it carries all the experiences, all the impressions, all the knowledge. So it carries a lot, and it's a lot about subconsciousness. Things that we don't see, things that we don't know, things that we cannot reach, things we cannot explain, things that are unknown, invisible, intangible, unreachable, unexplainable, mystical, mysterious, dreamy, and it's very poetic and romantic too. It's a lot to digest, and we will have to digest it. It's the opposite. It's opposite of the sun in Virgo, and Virgo, as you know, is about digestive system and about our ability to digest things, not only physically but emotionally and mentally, and I spoke about it in previous live. And eclipses are huge events, especially if you have personal planets near this 25th degree of Pisces or Virgo or Gemini or Sagittarius. These will be the key areas of this Piscean eclipses, and we are going to see this happening in key areas of our life, but we are all going to feel it. And eclipses bring life-changing events, life-changing situations, life-changing relationships, life-changing insights. It puts us on the crossroad, and it actually redirects our life. It puts us back on the track, especially if we've been misled lately, or if we've been making some wrong decisions or taking wrong turns. Eclipses realign us with our soul's purpose, even if we personally don't like it, even if our ego, our persona doesn't like it. It's what on a soul level is aligned with our path, and we cannot resist or reject these events and changes and transformations that are happening during the eclipse season. And we are in eclipse season for quite some time. This eclipse is happening on the 17th or 18th of September, depending on where you are in the world, but the eclipse is felt 4 to 6 weeks before and 4 to 6 weeks after its exact date, and the impact and influence of eclipse is strong for another 6 months, but it can also have an echoing effect on us for many years. Eclipses are big cycles that repeat themselves every 18 years, and this is very much related to something that we have experienced 18 years ago, but also 9 years ago, because this is when we have also the same eclipses, but the south node and the north node in opposite signs. So the last time this same eclipse was active, and this is eclipse in Pisces, so this one is initiating the new series of eclipses that will be taking place in the signs of Virgo and Pisces in the next year and a half and 2 years. So the last time we had this same series of eclipses was back between September of 2006 and February of 2008, and also in the period between March of 2015 and February-March of 2017. So let's think back to these periods of our life and let's try to connect some dots with what we are experiencing now, because the same themes, similar lessons will be happening again, because the same areas of our lives are being triggered. So some lessons that we have skipped may come back now in order for us to learn them, or opportunities that we missed may come back now so that we can, act on them. And lessons that we've learned will serve us really good now if we know how to apply them. And this is a very reflective energy, very adaptable. Pisces is mutable water sign, and this is eclipse. Moon is the water, moon rules the water. Pisces is the last water sign, and it's eclipse. So these are definitely emotional floods, and we may be faced with some deep subconscious fears, with our anxieties, with things that are outside of our control. And that's why Pisces and 12th house are related to surrendering, letting go, releasing, healing, transcending. These things that we have to just let go and surrender. This is the biggest lesson of Pisces energy, but that's very hard, of course, because we hold on to certain things. We cannot let go of things that are very important to us, obviously. So it will be a big test, a big challenge for us to let go of something and to release huge amount of karmic debts, because eclipses also give us an opportunity for huge karmic releases, and they bring destined and fated events into our lives. Eclipses also bring big goodbyes and hellos in our lives, big endings and beginnings, connections and disconnections, unions and separations, marriages and divorces, like something big is happening in life. And this eclipse is really allowing us to heal, but we may have to go through some deep, dark places within our being. We may have to sink down into our own depths of our being, into the oceanic depths where we have no idea what we're going to meet. There are many oceanic monsters, sea monsters. There are beings that we don't know of in the ocean. Ocean is completely unexplored, and so is our subconsciousness. And whenever we have strong Piscean energies moved, then that's when we have an opportunity to explore more of that subconscious material. But it can be scary, of course, because it's the unknown. It's our ability to sink into the unknown, to get to the bottom of something, and to face our blind spots, our weaknesses, to be vulnerable, to be more receptive and gentle in all of that, through all that chaos. Pisces is about chaos and Virgo is order. So we may feel torn apart between chaotic life and ordered or organized life, but we have to embody both. Chaos is very important. In nature there is no order. If we go out and look at the nature, there is no order there, and yet everything functions perfectly fine. So we may wonder, what's right, which side, what angle should I take, what position should I take, from which perspective should I look at life. And it's a wild ride, it's a roller coaster for sure. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it gives us truly an opportunity for seeing something that we couldn't see before, for feeling things we couldn't feel before. And this is full moon energy, and full moons, they bring revelations, they illuminate things. Full moons shine a light on things we couldn't see before, on things that were impossible to experience before, or it shines a light on things that we were avoiding, neglecting, ignoring, or denying. Full moons definitely bring things to light, so something that we may have to confront, to face, and these are probably our illusions, our addictions, our escapisms, our subconscious fears, anxieties, panic attacks, paranoid thoughts, our mental health, our way of thinking, our ancestral karmic patterns, our dreams, pay attention to our dreams. They will be very vivid, and we may probably receive some powerful messages through our dreams as well. It's, very, very deep, very healing, and it gives us an opportunity for self-healing, because we are all our own healers and saviors, as I said in previous video, that probably triggered many of you, because I saw a couple of comments where people said like, but we are still, not ready, and we do need that savior outside of ourselves. But, that's not how it works. It's enough of that lie, because that's a lie. That's just something that we've given so that we never take responsibility for ourselves. And that's not information for someone who really wants to do the work, who really wants to do the shadow work, who wants to integrate their shadow, who wants to integrate their past, who wants to step out of their imprisonment. And this is, we definitely have to see that we are our own saviors. And the age of Pisces has been teaching us, not the age of Pisces, but under the influence of the age of Pisces, the collective has been misled. And it's the so-called dark age, and we are at the brick between the ages, between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. And I'm going to read a couple of things from the book The Age of Aquarius about the age of Pisces, so that we can understand better what this eclipse is bringing and taking. And just to say one more thing, eclipses always remind us that things are never actually lost and gone. They are only transformed. And during eclipses, things may be eclipsed out of our life. We may have to say goodbye to something. We may be experiencing loss and grief. We may be experiencing some kind of death. But this is necessary, and eclipses definitely bring things that are necessary, that are inevitable, that are unavoidable. So we cannot escape this. It's meant to be. It's a karma that is actually predestined. But of course, what we can do is we change the way we interact with those changes. We change the way we accept these things. We change the way how we perceive these things. We change the way how we treat ourselves, how we understand life. And Pisces really initiates us into some deep mystical knowledge, into hidden knowledge. And we can expect some very deep intuitive insights, intuitive knowledge through our dreams, through our daydreaming, through our meditation practice, through contemplation, through going on a retreat maybe, through going, through having a quality me time, through dedicating to ourselves in a high quality way, in a way that is truly healing. And I will read just a couple of things from this book about, it's at the very beginning, it's about the age of Pisces. And it says, this is the Christian age of Christian cults and cultures which perverted Christ and his teachings. The Pisces is very much related to Christianity and religions. This is the age of Christ's suffering, his crucifixion, his sacrifice and resurrection. Pisces brought confusion and suffering, obfuscation and mystification, obscure teachings, hidden knowledge and great losses. This age is also known as the Dark Age. Pisces represents mysteries, the otherworldly, transcendence, spirituality, sacrifice, victimization, deep subconscious, secrets, hidden fears, confusions, illusions, delusions, deceptions, scandals, empathy, darkness of the unconscious, urge to merge, all is one, escapism, loss, the need to escape this reality, alcoholism, drugs, therapies, hypnosis and hallucinations, and many more. This is the age of martyrdom, Maya, illusions, blind faith and lies. This is the age of deception. This age washed away the ancient knowledge and wisdom. ancient knowledge has been diluted and blurred. It was during this age when the Library of Alexandria was burned and when much of ancient history was destroyed. Knowledge is either destroyed or hidden. It is hidden away from us and we're being kept in the dark. We see mystery schools and churches emerging as polarities of true wisdom and spirituality versus religion and politics. People were easily misled. People needed someone to lead them. Sheep needed a shepherd. People needed authority. People lost their own authority and felt weak and victimized. Church fathers needed emotionalism as a base for manipulation, and it was easy during the Piscean age to control the masses through emotions and feelings, because the archetype of Pisces represents deep emotions, confusion, poetic romanticism, and ecstatic states of the soul. So everything that made sense, that seemed logical and meaningful, had been cruelly and ruthlessly burned and destroyed, while everything that was confusing, unclear, mystified, and coded had been ideal for preservation and presentation to the collective. The less they knew and understood, the easier it was to control them and keep them in fear and darkness. We are still under this spell. This is how we lost our connection to true knowledge and wisdom. This is why we have to decode these stories and symbols. We need to decode and understand the true meaning behind parables, mythologies, and symbols that are only confusing instead of enlightening. And there are many other things, of course, but I won't read the whole thing clearly, but just wanted to point these things so that we can see that we have to separate from those kinds of manipulations, from blind faith and blind beliefs. It's time to truly wake up. And this eclipse in Pisces is really powerful. It carries a lot, and during this time of this eclipse in Pisces, Pluto is in Capricorn, and Pluto just re-entered Capricorn on the 1st of September, and this is also very big news. Pluto, the lord of the underworld, Pluto has been moving back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius this last year and a half, and this is the last time, this is the last ride of Pluto in Capricorn in this lifetime. It won't come back here ever again. And Pluto has been here since 2008. It's been here 15 years, and it will be here until the 19th of November this year, and then it will finally cross over that bridge, and it will move into Aquarius, where it will be for the next 20 years, and the taste will be completely different. And those of you who are Capricorns, Cancers, Aries, and Libras, you felt this on the strongest, highest level. And those of you who have ascendants there, of course, or some personal planets, not only sun signs, definitely. So this is some kind of end of an era, end of a big chapter, of big demolition and deconstruction of the system. And this system has been falling apart within ourselves. We have completely reorganized our system, and this is the finalization of something. This Pluto in Capricorn right now, 29th degree of Capricorn, is bringing something to an end, and Pluto brings destruction and reconstruction. It destroys something that needs to be destroyed, that is not aligned with our soul's mission and soul's purpose. So it doesn't ask any questions, it just removes things. It doesn't care for our personal wants and needs. And eclipses don't care either about our personal wants and needs, about our personal happiness and pleasures. It doesn't care for that. We will have to accept the changes that are taking place. And this Pluto here in Capricorn is also bringing us big regeneration and recovery. of something that we've been experiencing since that 2008. It's a big story, and we may see what it is. And now this Pluto is going to push us very intensely and strongly, because it has only 2 months to finish everything. And there are many of us who still haven't done that work, and we will have to finish it. So something very powerful that demands, big regeneration and recovery and transformation and demolition of an old system, of our old way of being. Our old world is collapsing. And this full moon is making a conjunction with its ruler, Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces, and this full moon is together with Neptune. So this really takes the energy of Pisces to an extreme level. So, we may be faced with some masochism, because Pisces is very much related to that kind of feelings and expressions and behaviors and sacrifice and sins and karmic debts and negative patterns, things that we want to forget and erase. And we may have to deal with those things, and with addictions within our families, with our own addictions, with addictions of our close personal relationships. But we may be we will be definitely faced with some kind of addictions, escapisms, illusions, fears, and subconscious negative patterns. And this masochism will be reflected in our relationships, in our intimate relationships, in our close personal relationships. And, we have to be reminded that what we don't see is what makes things grow. And there is the root of everything. And this Pisces energy is really reminding us that there is a root of everything, that we all have roots. We all came from somewhere. We didn't just happen out of nowhere. We are not just a result of coincidental mix of elements. We are much more than that. Life is much more complex than that. And we as human beings are much more complex than that. And many of us will be awakening to that truth. And it may be overwhelming. And we need this. We need to see that the cause of everything visible is always in the invisible. It's always where we don't see it. And that's why we may be confused during this time. That's why Pisces deals with confusions. But that's why we have to master these things. And this eclipse is really offering us a helping hand to master these things. And it's a lot about being willing to forgive. Forgiveness is very big theme now. Forgiveness in all shapes and forms. And as I always say, when we go through that process of forgiveness, when we completely burn ourselves in that process of forgiveness, we eventually, after everything, realize that there was nothing to be forgiven in the first place. But in order to realize this, we have to walk through that purging, burning process. And, it takes guts to forgive without feeling like we are heroes, without feeling like we did something great, without feeling like we are victims or heroes, but just to go through it because of the self, because of the inner peace, because of the transcendence. And Pisces deals with unconditional love, unity, and oneness. And these things are very much important now. But these words, and even spirituality, these words have been very demonized. And they've been used and abused in so many ways. And, when I say them, it seems like they don't have any strength anymore. because it was done on the purpose to still keep keep the collective, numb, to keep the majority of people numb and unable to really experience this mystical experience within themselves, because that's what it's all about. There are many spiritual tricks. It's a very slippery floor, and we are going to see this more and more in the spiritual communities. And as I said, these words have been demonized, and that's because, people are hungry and thirsty for meaning. People want meaning. We want some meaning behind everything that's happening to us, behind, the unfairness of life. Like, why are bad things happening to good people, and why people who seem, like bad guys always, go through life easily. But there are many hidden things that we don't see, and it's very important to have that meaning, to understand karmic lessons, to understand cycles, to understand that there is no one to blame and nothing to forgive. But it takes a long way to reach that state of understanding. And everyone has their own path, but everyone that we see is also an aspect of ourselves. But because we don't see these things clearly, we see separation. We see it's me, and then there is someone there across the street, so it's not me, but it's also an aspect of me. And Pisces, as the sign that is the last sign of the zodiac, that encompasses everything, all archetypes within itself, it teaches us that we are all one. But this phrase has also been completely misunderstood and abused and demonized, because it doesn't mean that we are all the same. But in its essence, everything is one. There is no separation of everything. Everything is interconnected. Everything is in a coherent relationship with each other. Everything and everyone. And we are also learning that there is time for everything. There is perfect timing for everything. Time when we come together, and time when we separate. Time when we are born, and time when we die. Time when we learn things, time when we teach things, time when we suffer, time when we grow. So we have to respect these timings. We cannot force things to happen. And this is a reminder that we are actually truly eternal beings. There is no end and no beginning. But we need these parameters, we need these significators, so that we can use our rational mind, our common sense. But in its essence, nothing is separated. And breathing, inhale and exhale, we even separate this. Like when I exhale, it's one thing, when I inhale, it's another thing, but it's all the same. It's life. Life and death together create life. We cannot remove one thing. And this is the dance between union and separation, and we may feel this in our personal lives, this dance between union and separation. We may be coming together with someone and separating with somebody else, or we may be separating and coming together with the same person or with same group of people, and there are many karmic lessons there to be learned. And this is a time for getting together with our soulmates and realizing that we are our own soulmate too. And we are making some really powerful connections with people. Very karmic relationships are happening now. Karmic connections and disconnections. Things that are meant to be, relationships that are meant to be, events that are meant to happen, they will happen in one way or another. and we cannot prevent that from happening. And our task is to accept and to let it happen naturally. And this is about having direct and experiential connection with life, with spirit. And there is this wisdom of empathy. The wisdom of empathy is very, very powerful to comprehend now, and to understand that we are all individuals with special functions. And Pluto, that I just spoke about, makes intense square with Venus in her own sign, Libra. Venus is very strong now, and Pluto is also strong, and Pluto in Venus and Venus together in aspect that is challenging can really affect our relationships in a way that it transforms them in a profound way. And we may be faced with some secrets, with some suppressed feelings in our relationships. Things we didn't talk about, things we tolerated for too long, things we thought we're done with, things we thought are buried deep in the past. They come up again. They come up for final resolution, for final lesson, and this will hit our relationships deeply. Our love relationships, our close intimate relationships, and we may be faced with some shadows there, with shadows of our own projections, and there is a lot of confrontation with suppressed traumas, with forgotten and unconscious desires and attachments. And this can really intensify our emotional reactions, and this Venus Pluto thing can bring destruction of certain relationships for sure, if they are not strong enough to survive. But it can also bring us together with some very powerful individuals, or with someone who reminds us of our own power. But let's be careful, this is square, these are crises, pressures and challenges that also bring growth and change that we need. It brings liberation, but we may have to face some inner demons, some dark corridors of our being, and our untreated desires will be brought to light too, and we may have to deal with them, and probably through our relationships with someone. So let's see what's coming up, what's brought to light. And it can be very humiliating for some of us, but let's remember, this is eclipse time, so whatever happens, it has to happen. Let's accept it. Forgiveness and healing, these are the keys. And Mercury is in Virgo, and it's making an opposition with Saturn in Pisces. So we have the Saturn, the taskmaster, in the sign where eclipse is happening. And this is very powerful, because thanks to Saturn here, we may be able to gain greater self-discipline and self-responsibility for everything that we are experiencing. And for really dealing with our invisible realms in a serious way, for taking our inner world seriously, because it's all there. And this Mercury in Virgo opposite Saturn in Pisces may make us feel unable to express ourselves really. We may have a feeling like someone is sitting on our chests and we cannot express ourselves. It can be pretty painful. This whole eclipse, together with these other aspects, can really trigger some depressive and pessimistic thoughts and feelings. But let's remember that we may be picking up these feelings and emotions from the collective unconsciousness. So it's very important to do at least some practice that will help us maintain our inner peace. But Let's not suppress our chaos. Let's not try to suppress those chaotic feelings and emotions. We have to be able to process them without identifying with them, to let them pass through us completely, to give them space to breathe, to be expressed. We cannot stuff them somewhere where they are going to be accumulated over years, over lifetimes. It's time for them to come up. So if you feel overwhelmed, depressed, pessimistic, vulnerable, victimized, if you feel really down, if you feel powerless, if you feel suicidal, because these are themes of this eclipse, we should all know that it's all as it should be. And if these things come up, these feelings, these dark thoughts too, let's just remember that we are not those thoughts, we are not those feelings, we are not those emotions. We just have to give them space to walk through us, to pass through us. We never really gave them that opportunity, and we have so much to learn from them. But fear is what paralyzes us. So let's give our best to be fearless. And being fearless is actually not so hard to achieve, because this is what we can gain when we are able to sit with ourselves, to sit with our feelings and our emotions as many times as we can during the day, every day. Having some quality me time, as I said, healing, meditation of any kind, dance, writing, poetry, writing your dreams, being spontaneous and intuitive, allowing ourselves to experience it all without analysis, without identification, without thinking about feelings, but just feeling it. As I always say, to feel is to heal it. You have to feel it in order to heal it. That's very simple. But we avoid feelings. We want to avoid. We want to escape. And there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. Let's not forget that too. Like escaping this reality through many things, and even through spiritual world, through meditation. But we have to take it seriously. That's why we have Saturn there. And it's very good that we have Saturn there. And Mars is in Cancer. Mars is in Cancer and will be here for a long time, because it will go retrograde in December, and it will reach Leo. It will reach the first 6 degrees of Leo, and then it will come back into Cancer again. Mars is right now in Cancer and will be here until the 4th of November. And then it stations retrograde on the 6th of December in the sign of Leo. And it re-enters Cancer on the 6th of January. And it will be there until the 18th of April 2025. So it's a long way to go with this Mars in Cancer. And Mars in Cancer is not feeling very good when it's in Cancer. It's in its fall. Mars in Cancer will really trigger that suppressed anger within us. It will bring it up so that we can work with it, so that we can see it and acknowledge it, so that we can resolve it. But, we may feel very defensive. We may feel like someone is threatening to us all the time, like everything is a threat, and we have to defend and protect ourselves all the time. So we may be attacking in order to defend and protect ourselves. Or we may be overreactive as well, like we may feel easily provoked, like this. And these are emotional battles. Mars in Cancer about emotions, and Mars is a battle. So these are emotional battles, and it's not easy. Mars cannot express itself very in its own way when it's in Cancer, because Cancer is water and Mars is fire. It's a red planet, and in Cancer it cannot really deal with those emotions. So this suppressed anger can really become explosive, and it can be like a tsunami. But it's all purposeful. It's exactly what we need. If it happens, it's exactly what we need. And Mars doesn't really want to destroy things, it wants to resolve things. It may seem like, things are so intense and combustible, but it's there for us to resolve it, to work on it, to really be daring and courageous. This is what builds our emotional strength. And this is, the higher expression of this Mars in Cancer, being emotionally strong, but flexible, not stiff. When we are stiff and when we are too strong, we break easily, But we have to learn how to bend, to be strong like water. Mars is in Cancer, water, it easily goes through obstacles. This is what we are learning now, to easily walk through these obstacles. And this Mars is making square with North Node and the South Node. Because we have the North Node and the South Node in the signs of Aries and Libra, 7 degrees of Aries and Libra, and Mars is 7 degrees of Cancer. So these are exact squares between Mars and the North Node and the South Node. So we are definitely kicked out of our comfort zone so that we can release something. We can release that anger. We can deal with anger within ourselves and with anger in others, and also with suppressed sadness. Suppressed sadness and avoidance of feeling things will be brought to light for each of us in a different way, but we are all going to face these things. And why also Jupiter, the ancient ruler of this full moon in Pisces. Jupiter is making square with this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and with Neptune, of course. So whenever we have this square with Jupiter, things can go into extremes. We may be exaggerating with something, and things can feel like it's too much of something. And when we have Pisces and Neptune and the eclipse in Pisces squaring its ancient ruler Jupiter in Gemini, this can be overload of something, too many information, big emotional news, big information that touches us deeply. And this energy reminds us that we are always in a connection with something bigger than ourselves. And we are reminded of that truth and of our abilities, our true capacities, our real potential. And this full moon is also making a positive sextile with Uranus in Taurus. And this can bring some sudden and unexpected positive opportunities through all of this, in all of this chaos and overwhelmed feelings and emotional tsunamis and weaknesses and addictions and vulnerabilities and victimhoods and need to prove something or defend something or attack or prove that show that we are misunderstood, mistreated, all these things. Through all of this mess and darkness, we will have some sudden epiphanies and insights, some deeply awakening moments that will shake us up, like, a very strong alarm that we cannot ignore, that we cannot ignore. And we can try and ignore it for some time, but not for a long time. So this is a call to heal, a call to bring the balance, to bring the wisdom, to bring the harmony, and to bring resurrection to our bodies, through our bodies, into lives of others as well. And we are reminded that actually nothing is a problem. There is no problem at all. We make things problematic because we don't understand them. And this is the only source of any issue or problem, that we don't understand and that we want to prove our own point of view. And it's a big reminder that nothing is a problem, really. And we may be asked to put ourselves in the shoes of others. Then this eclipse brings life-changing conversations too, life-changing meetings, life-changing encounters, life-changing contacts with people who can help us on our path of healing, or who can we be of help. As I said, soulmates, connecting with our soulmates and realizing that everyone we meet is our soulmate, actually. But with some we have stronger bonds, with some we are there only to meet them for a short period of time and to move on. Some are there to stay, and some are there to continuously go through separation and union, breathing, the dance of union and separation, exhale and inhale, extraction and compulsion of the universe. As you know, they say the universe is expanding. But actually it's not expanding, it's just going through its phase of inhale. Because when we inhale, it seems like we are expanding. So right now the universe is inhaling. So let's, try to spread and inhale together with the universe and explore our mystical side of being. We are being asked, have we lost ourselves? Have we lost our identities because of projections of others? Many of us will have those insights, as I said, that we are eternally getting to know each other, because we have to get to know ourselves. And how we're going to get to know ourselves, but through interaction with others. But as long as we see them as separate from ourselves, we are in this game of eternally getting to know each other and eternally going into those experiences of betrayal, separation, suffering, death, loss, grief, inability to really connect with anyone truly, because we are unable to connect with ourselves and to see that everything is interconnected. We are a mystery to ourselves. Just when we think we get to know ourselves, we see that we have no idea. And whole life is a mystical experience. And when you see life in this way, things change. Whole life is a mystical experience. And life is not separate from me, life is not separate from you. We are life, it's equal. We should put the equality sign between us and life. And nothing is separate from our journey. Whatever happens, it's a part of our journey, and it's our task to honor this journey. And we should never suppress our desires. It's enough with self-denial. We are done with self-denial. And majority of people live in self-denial. We have to deal with this self-denial, and we will, definitely. And life is much greater, much richer, much deeper, mysterious, and all-pervasive than we can imagine. And this eclipse in Pisces will show us at least some part of that bigger picture. And we are also reminded that we cannot just get some crystals and ascend. We cannot just wear crystals and be in the sun and expect that things will miraculously change. That crystal is us as well. And in whose hands it is, that's what matters. What are you doing to it? Because we are reprogramming everything that gets in touch with us. And that's true with planetary aspects and with this eclipse, of course. This eclipse, we will receive it, the rays of this eclipse, but what happens depends upon our electromagnetic field. Our memories, our fears, our ways of perceiving things in life, our knowledge, our level of comprehension. In whose hands it is, that's what matters, remember. And of course there is a divine plan behind everything, and this eclipse is a big reminder of that. Big reminder of that. and there is a lot of psychic sensitivity too. There are culminations of psychic sensitivity. This is hypersensitivity, and we may experience division within the collective because, you know, union and separation, the dance between chaos and order. And, you know, Pisces can be very, very dark actually if we don't know how to handle these things. But we are reminded that we are magicians. We are our inner wizards. We are the druids. You know, we are the inner mystics. This is the Pisces in the 12th house, and we are recognizing and awakening these inner druids, mystics, and shamans and magicians. And we are letting go of seeking approval. As I said, we are all our own saviors. Let's not forget this. It's not a bad thing, it's actually a very good thing. You know, it's it's bad for people who are unwilling to work with themselves, who still need the shepherd, who still need the authority, who still need lies and delusions. But I am sure that those people won't be watching these videos. So this is not about some kind of cruelty towards those people. No, it's a very simple law of existence in this realm, and that's how it is. You know, it's time to really dive deep into these oceanic waters and to grab some jewels from the bottom and to rise again up to the surface. You know, the glyph of Pisces, two fish swimming in the opposite directions, but they are tied with the bond. They are inseparable. You know, it's a union of the divinity and humanity. As I said in previous video, to be human is to be divine, and to be divine is to be human. And this is what Pisces embodies, the glyph of Pisces. It's the material and spiritual, to the transcendence and the imprisonment of this matrix. But Pisces transcends all of this and brings it into unity. And you know, it's not about being saved, it's not about salvation, it's about liberation from what we have learned in a wrong way. So we have to unlearn those things and to recognize ourselves, you know, to see that we are in a relationship with everything, body, soul, and spirit, the Holy Trinity. You know, spirits within flesh. You know, we are source energy manifested in these bodies, and we are reminded that this, what we are living here, is also a dream. This is a dream, and we need to wake up from it. And many of us will have those flashes of insights, like strike lightning of strike. And you know, we maybe feel torn apart between confusion and clarity, between chaos and order, but we are coming out from the depths of oceans for the crystal clear surface. This is what's happening. We may be swimming through murky, blurry waters, through the depths where we don't see what's in front of us, and it's very scary and dark. But when we go through all of this, when we face those fears, we are going to surface to the crystal clear water. I promise you this for sure. This is what's happening. And this is our opportunity to manifest and go beyond the visible, beyond the limitation, to go into those illusions and dreams and to see them for what they are. And this is time, you know, to see that we belong to ourselves and to the source. Pisces is about the source. And let's see ourselves for our greatest potential. Letting go of illusions, expose our vulnerabilities. We have courage to face ourselves, and we need this anchoring energy to peel away anything that doesn't serve us. You know, we are catalysts of our souls. And, you know, Virgo, the opposite sign of Pisces, is the Hermeticist. So we have these strong, healing, shamanistic, mystical experiences and energies that are pushing us into the depths of our being. And it can be creative and imaginative as well as dark and destructive. And these are invisible currents in the waters of the unconscious. And being this close to the abyss would make anybody nervous, and Pisces often tries to avoid the confrontation with the unconscious by retreating into the intellect. So let's not try to intellectualize our feelings, because this will only lead us astray. And chaotic realm is right here. it's right here, so we have to face it. And the oceans of Piscean's realms it includes everything from the transcendent and divine to the demonic. And as I said, two fish swimming in opposite directions, they represent the endless paradoxes of Pisces, the spiritual fish and the material fish, rational and irrational, victim and redeemer. But there is the cord that binds them and shows that they cannot be separated because they are interdependent. And the opposites, are always like this. They create the whole. So we have to honor both. And this is, where the human and the divine intersect. And the challenge is to find a way to unite these opposites within ourselves in synthesis that includes and transcends both. In other words, to be in the world but not of it. And this isn't easy, because it can get pretty messy, but this is inevitable now. And we are truly a life force that constantly renews itself, living and dying in an endless cycle. But the life force itself is indestructible. It is eternal life, and this is what Pisces really has to deliver to us as a sacred message. And the symbol that comes to my mind is the Vesica Piscis. I already showed it before, but I will show you it again. It's right here. Do you see this? The intersection of two circles, the intersection, and in the middle is this union that I was talking about between the divine and human. And this is, the intersection of two circles, and it represents the joining of two worlds, the divine and the human. And it also represents the entrance to the womb, the yoni, which is also the entrance to the afterlife or spirit world. And this symbol is everywhere, and it's also in our bodies and within ourselves. And as you can see, maybe this is also Vesica Piscis. And here it is. You see the intersection of two circles, the fish and the Christ consciousness. So we are definitely reminded that this is all within ourselves. All that we see is an aspect of ourselves. And we have the power, we have the keys to the doors of our inner kingdom. So let's use these keys in the right way and for right doors. I wish you all a very powerful, healing, full of feelings, transformative, liberating, fulfilling, and full moon lunar eclipse that will face us with our darkest side of ourselves, with our subconscious fears, so that we can rise to that crystal clear surface. We have another eclipse in 2 weeks, and I will see you then and continue the story. I love you all, and see you then. Bye bye.